So should I take it that no one has any question and everybody understood everything that we had just talked about? So I believe what I'm not hearing, meaning there is no question. There is an ayat in Surah Baqarah, the second surah after Surah Al-Hamd, surah number 2, the very first line in this ayat talks about this belief. इस यकीन की बात करता है कुरान. And you will see कि इल्म के बगैर अगर हम कोई चीज़ करते हैं या कोई चीज़ को पढ़ते हैं, and when we do something with the knowledge, how do we understand things? And we had a clear lesson last Sunday that what we hear and what we see sometimes is not as we hear and as we see. So let's talk about this ayat and then we will go further. Ji.
So this verse is Zalikul Kitab La Raiba Fihi Hudal Lil Muttaqin. That is the book, and it is guidance sure, without doubt, to those who fear Allah, who believe in the unseen and establish worship and spend what that we have bestowed upon them.
Subhanallah. So think about this. The very first line, it talked about, that is the book. Zalikul Kitaba. That is the book in which there is belief. आपने देखा यकीन की बात आई कि वो किताब वो है जिसमें यकीन है. If there is a belief, so उसमें क्या नहीं है? उसमें कोई डाउट नहीं है. Let me repeat this. Make a note of this, a mental note. If you have the belief, then you have no doubt. क्योंकि अगर आपके पास यकीन नहीं है तो क्या है आपके पास? Doubts है. Again the example, when that person told you that there is a body of water and the water is blue, you had two paths, two clear paths. One, to believe, or second, to doubt. And Allah saying that there is that book which there is no doubt. Meaning, यकीन and यकीन है. उसमें ईमान है. क्योंकि अगर डाउट है तो ईमान नहीं है, ईमान है तो डाउट नहीं है. क्या मतलब? ईमान है तो डाउट नहीं है. लाइक घर के अंदर अंधेरा है, आपने लाइट ऑन कर दी, अब अंधेरा नहीं है, क्योंकि अंधेरा ठहर नहीं सकता है अगर घर के अंदर लाइट है. ईमान है तो डाउट ठहर नहीं सकते हैं. अगर डाउट आते भी है, यानी कि अंधेरा हो भी जाता है, तो हम लाइट ऑन कर देते हैं. अगर डाउट आते भी हैं, इफ यू डज हैव डाउट, you can take that away with ईमान. ईमान के साथ डाउट दूर हो जाते हैं. आपने क्लियरली सुना कि ये किसके लिए है? वो मुत्तकीन के लिए है, परहेजगारों के लिए है. जो ईमान रखते हैं उसके लिए ये बात हो रही है कि जो ईमान रखते हैं वो ही प्योरीफाइड है. किस तरह से प्योरीफाइड हो गया है? बिकॉज दे बिलीव्ड. तो ये एक कुरान से रेफरेंस, फरमान से रेफरेंस कि सुल्तान मोहम्मद शाह हमारी जाने उससे फिदा हो, says the soul with knowledge will go up step by step. जो मोमिन के पास इल्म होगा वही दर्जा बर दर्जा ऊपर जाएगा। यहाँ पर इल्म के दो डेफिनेशन मैं आपको बताऊं, एक इंफॉर्मेशन एंड एक ट्रू नॉलेज। We may have a lot of information, but when Imam says the soul will go up and increase and enhance the ranks, the one who has the knowledge, Imam is talking about the true knowledge. The one who has the true knowledge of the Imam will enhance their ranks from Shariat to Tariqat to Haqiqat. From Ilmul Yaqeen to Ainul Yaqeen to Haqqul Yaqeen. Because they have the true knowledge. That is how important the knowledge is, and that's how the ilm plays roles in our tariqah. So let's talk about a few other things. Without the knowledge, if we cannot understand Ginan, if we cannot understand the Farman, or if we cannot understand the Quran, the three different ways of understanding our tariqah. We may have a Quran in our home, we may have a Farman book in our home, we may have a Ginan book in our home, but if we don't have the Hakiki ilm, the true knowledge, then what good would it do? I mean, there are so many Faramin that we read, and we think sometimes that we understand, but without the true knowledge, you will not be able to understand. इसकी अभी जो एग्जाम्पल, छोटी सी एग्जाम्पल हमारे सामने है कि there is no doubt in that book, meaning there is Iman, and this Iman is for the Parezgar, the righteous. And one cannot be righteous without having the true knowledge to know how to follow. Very simple and logical example. Same thing with the Farman. The soul with the knowledge will increase step by step. अगर हमको यही पता नहीं है कि कौन सा knowledge, तो हम समझेंगे कि जिसके पास information है, the person with information will increase step by step. No, not with information. Not even with the knowledge. With the true knowledge, a person will go above and closer to the Nur of Imam. What other Farman or Ginan can be present, or one, if someone on this line can remember, that will support what we are learning today. And remember, together we are learning. So you can be part of the conversation, and you can say, oh yes, I remember this Ginan, or yes, I remember this Farman, or yes, I remember this Ayat. Then, we can learn together. And even there are Ayats and there are Farman that may not be as it looks and being understand. इसकी एग्जाम्पल मैं आपको बताता हूं कि कोई कहे अगर हमको, just example, okay? If someone says that why do we need to read Quran when we have Imam's Farman? Then we need to go back to the Imam's Farman and see, has Imam given us the Farman to read Quran? And if he has, then we have to look for another Farman. How did he ask us to read Quran? So what we're going to need? We're going to need minimum of 2 Farman. एक फरमान में ये फरमाया होगा कि आप कुरान पढ़ो, और एक फरमान में ये फरमाया होगा कि आपको कुरान किस तरह पढ़ना है. And then maybe we need a third Farman. to tell us who understand Farman. Do we see how it is important for us to have the knowledge so we can even understand the Farman? Otherwise, हमारे उस्ताद एक बहुत अच्छा हमको स्टोरी बताती थी, a true event. She would say that one time she was going to deliver a wife in the Jamaat Khana, and she was running a little bit late. So when she entered the Jamaat Khana, she put her shoes in the shoes company and walking up the stairs to go into the Jamaat Khana, she saw this child sitting on the stairs and reading a Farman. And the teacher said to the student or the child, why are you sitting here? Shouldn't you not be in Jamaat Khana reciting your dua? And the child said, no, I'm trying to memorize this Farman. She said, what is so important about this Farman that you are giving up your dua? He said, I'm reading a Farman that says that we should all go to Jamaat Khana on daily basis and recite dua. ये फरमान वो याद करने की कोशिश करता था कि मौला फरमा रहे हैं कि आप जमात खाने जाकर दुआ पढ़ो. Do we see that? He knew the Farman, but he did not understand the Farman. वो उस फरमान को याद तो कर रहा था, लेकिन उस फरमान को ना तो समझ रहा था, neither he understood nor he was following the फरमान. तो फरमान तो हमको सैकड़ों याद हो गए मुंह पर, but do we even understand or do we follow? Yeah, one of the example I thought was a good example for us to understand what we are trying to learn today. Gee, any other comments or anybody wanted to add anything? If not, I remember one more example and I may need someone's help फरमान के अंदर कि sometime कुरान के अंदर भी, गिनान के अंदर भी और फरमान के अंदर भी there are फरमान of Mullah Ali, there are फरमान of other imams all the way to Sultan Muhammad Shah, and then there are फरमान of Hazir Imam. There may be फरामीन which complement each other, meaning कि एक मुला आज फरमान फरमाता है जो पिछले इमाम के फरमान को कंफर्म करता है और कॉम्प्लीमेंट करता है. एंड देयर आर डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ फरमान कि जो आज का फरमान है वो प्रीवियस फरमान को रिजेक्ट करता है या उसको रद्द करता है, ओवरराइड करता है. तो फरामीन भी अलग अलग किस्म के हैं. देयर आर फरामीन for our physical and material life improvement and to make it easy. There are faramin for our spiritual life and to improve our soul. There are faramin for the laws के जो हम फॉलो करते हैं कि आपको क्या करना है क्या नहीं करना है, do's and don'ts. And then there are faramin which are limited in the time and the location. Do we know that? If we don't know that there are different kind of faramin, we may be taking a farman which is not even valid today, or we may be thinking that previous imam farmans are not valid. Either way, we will lose unless we understand कि कितनी किस्म के फरमान होते हैं. जी, looks like somebody wanted to make a comment. Go ahead. If somebody is trying to say
Alright,
something?
I would like.
जी.
I would like to share the Quranic verse which talks about what you mentioned about एक की जगह पर जब दूसरा आ जाता है
जी जी जी
तो पहली बात जो है वो रद्द हो जाती है
जी
वो सूरह बकरा की आयत नंबर 106 है सूरह बकरा वर्स नंबर 106 इन उर्दू इट सेज जिस आयत को हम मंसूख कर दें या भुला दें उससे बेहतर या इस जैसी और लाते हैं क्या तू नहीं जानता कि अल्लाह ताला हर चीज पर कादिर है If any friends wants to read it in English that will be nice Alright, let me read it in English to them.
Okay.
Nothing of our revelations do we abrogate or cause be forgotten, but we bring one better or the like thereof. Knowest thou not that Allah has power over all things?
सुभान अल्लाह ये बहुत अच्छी एक मिसाल थी This was perfect ayat for us to understand that how and why Imam overrides a previous Imam's farman. So what we just learned was from this ayat, and thank you for sharing, that when he overrides a previous Imam's farman, then he overrides this farman for few reasons. One, because it's no longer valid in the time that we are living, or to make it better, or to explain that farman further. So he does this for these three different reasons. जी आपके पास कोई फरमान है तो आप उसको शेयर करें प्लीज
जी एक साथी ने गुजारिश की है पढ़ने के लिए तो why don't you come up front Nafisa would you like to share please
Sure, I can read the Farman. So this is a Farman from Mombasa, Kenya. Thursday, August 15th, 1957. If we can please recite the Salat. So I'm going to read an excerpt of this Farman. As I address you, I turn to pay my respects to the memory of your late Imam, and many memories come to our minds as we think of him. He achieved in his life for our community that which could only have been accomplished normally in a period of many generations. The tributes that the world has paid him bear honest testimony to his great life and work. He will always be my ideal and example, and I shall do my best to follow faithfully in his footsteps. I wish to convey to you all my sincerest thanks for hundreds and hundreds of cables that you sent to me in our sad bereavement.
Subhanallah, Subhanallah. You know, I have, there is a Quranic ayat and there is a farman. So not only ayat overrides ayat or farman overrides a farman. So in this farman that Nafisa just read, it complements that Imam, Hazir Imam, Salatullah alayhi, will walk on the path of his grandfather. So what he's saying with this farman, that you should do the same. Ji, go ahead.
So another friend shared another recent farman of Hazi Imam actually. If we recall, in Sultan Muhammad Shah, may our souls be sacrificed to this Imam, he has said that work, no words. Whereas Hazir Imam recently on 100th year of volunteer, Khidmat celebration, Maula said, work with lots of words. communication, talk about it. So it's a very recent example for us where Maula Bapa has made a different farman than what we were told by Imam Aka Sultan Muhammad Shah.
Subhanallah, Subhanallah. What a beautiful way of contributing by friends. Thank you so much. So this example of ayat and a farman. So in one of the ayat, Allah says, there always be ready by keeping your horses tied up, standing and ready to go. Now, if you take this ayat in today's time, how would I follow or you will follow this ayat? We don't have horses. How can I tie up a horse ready to go? But that is the farman or that is the ayat in the Quran. It says, be ready, be prepared. So Imam gives us a farman. And I'm just talking about this month or last month farman. He said, you prepare yourself to be better prepare yourself. So when we come out of this sickness or this event that we are going through today, you will be better prepared to come out. I'm just paraphrasing. If somebody has the farman, they can read that 2-line or 3-line farman the Mullah just sent to us last month. He is asking us to be prepared. So Mullah is using different word to be prepared. He is not saying prepare your horses. What he's saying? Prepare yourself mentally, spiritually and intellectually during this hard time that we are going through. So when it ends, we will be better prepared to ride and ride hard and be able to walk faster and on the correct measurement on this path. Does anyone have that farman? Please share.
It seems Nafisa has found another good farman. Go ahead, Nafisa, please.
Sure. There's a farman, I believe it's from London, August 5th, 1994. And this particular farman, Hazrat Imam says, think about what that means, meritocratic society. It is a remarkable feature of our tradition that we may prepare for the future. We may seek education wherever it may be, and we will always be in keeping with one of the fundamental premises of our tariqah, which is the development of the human intellect. Therefore, in looking to the years ahead, keep strong and loyal and united to the practice of the faith. It is a faith, must be a faith of conviction, not a faith of convenience, as has occurred in some other faiths in other parts of the world. And if it is a faith of conviction, then it is a faith of conviction, not only in the heart, of the soul, of the intellect. It is a faith of conviction, of the intellect, and of ethic.
Subhanallah, Subhanallah. So listening to all the references from Quran, Farman, what we are trying to learn here? The question would be, why are we in this ilmi class and what are we trying to do? For sure, we do want knowledge, higher knowledge, true knowledge, and that's why we are here, investing our time on Sunday morning. Knowledge gives broader horizons for us to think, makes our mind opened up. So if we listen to these concepts, this knowledge, but if we are not able to bring any change in our lives, if we keep thinking the way we were thinking in the past, like we do not make these new learning part of our life, then it does not serve the purpose. I recall another farman of Hazir Imam. Actually, Maula refers to Sultan Muhammad Shah. Maula says that my grandfather has told you that you can take the horse to the water, but you cannot make the horse drink water. You can give knowledge to somebody, guidance to somebody, but to take benefit from it or not. In other words, this farman we just heard right now, that farman, is it for convenience for us to follow, or is it with the conviction we are trying to follow? The point we are trying to make here, if we keep attending these classes and we do not show any change, any transformation in ourselves, then we can use our time effectively somewhere else with humble apologies. We are not trying to give advice or make anybody feel guilty, because this journey is journey of love. It is Imam's love that we are here gathered and we want to grow in our knowledge. So the change or the transformation has to come from our personal willingness. So when we listen to these lectures and these references, if we do not individually reflect on it and bring change, think before what we say, then we are not doing justice to our own time. In today's time, our time is very valuable. We are all very busy people. So this is a humble request from each one of us. We are all gathered here to grow from this learning. Through the references of Farman and Ginan today, we hope that we all have learned that this knowledge is part of our life, and it has to be integrated. As Hazir Imam has said, that you cannot forsake one for the other, like deen for dunya, dunya for deen. We have to be keeping both in our mind. Follow the Farman with the conviction. Make it a point to reflect individually and to bring change and transformation in ourselves. If we have doubts, we should bring forward the questions. It is okay to ask questions. If you don't feel comfortable asking verbally, text to your friends, whoever reference you have come to these classes. It's okay to share questions. But then answers are given, and if we don't change ourselves, then it is hard for us as a group to continue further in our journey. This knowledge is knowledge of yaqeen, belief, faith, and of course with love. It is Imam's love that we all are here. So I humbly request that we become more interactive, not verbally, because it's hard to organize and communicate. We can text and talk, but we need to know who we are, and we need to communicate closely so we understand what are our needs, and it becomes more interactive. And if I may add one announcement along with that, then please do feel free to ask questions, or if you have any comments. There are friends who we do not know who you are, and there are no names there too. And we like to follow friends with a curriculum, knowing what are the needs of the friends. It becomes very difficult to know who the friends are and what their needs are. So that's another request. I actually wanted to make it in end of the session. We are almost at the end. So this announcement is part of our group, and our organizer of these sessions is Salim Momin Sahib, whose contact is available. Please communicate with him to let us know who you are, and if you like to continue to be the part of this journey. Maafi.
Thank you so much. What I like to do is, if possible, because there are so many questions that normally comes during these classes, so it's okay to ask question here verbally, or you can always text, like she said, to whomever you are coming into this class with. So there are different ways. But what kind of question should we ask? Sometimes we feel that what about if I ask a question which make me feel dumb or stupid? Let me assure you, there is no stupid question. There is only one stupid question which you don't ask. Meaning, every single question you ask is a good question for us to learn combinedly. So I remember from some of our previous classes, simple question. I mean, look at how simple these questions are, but those are good questions. For example, how come we don't let other smileys, other than smileys, like our other Muslim brother or our Christian friends, how come we don't let them come to Jamaat? Look at how simple this question is. But it does require a lot of thinking, and it does require a proper logical answer. The reason I'm giving this example, so no one should feel that they cannot ask question. A simple question as this has so much to learn from. Think about this question. How come we don't let our other Muslim brother or our other Christian friends come to Jamaat? Very simple question, right? Think about it. And if you guys want to talk about it next week, we can definitely talk about it. Gee, anyone else?
Aziz, I'd like to add something if I may.
Sure, please.
So earlier in the session, you had mentioned the relationship between not just knowledge, but true knowledge and Iman. And I think an interesting Quranic verse in this regard would be from Surah 58, Ayah 22. And I'm not going to read the whole verse, but there's just one particular line in the verse where it talks about God has, or it says, He has inscribed Iman, or He has inscribed faith in their hearts and strengthened them with a spirit, a ruh, spirit from Himself. And it's important to know here that, especially in the Ismaili Tariqah, but in Islam, esoteric Islam in general, the word spirit or ruh is very closely associated with intellect and mean true knowledge as a relationship between the ruh, the spirit, and the intellect. And here we see a clear relationship between certain hearts, which God has written or inscribed Iman into their hearts and gave them spiritual strength from Himself through the Spirit. And I think this speaks to the idea that of true knowledge, sometimes people wonder, why do we have to read or learn? You know, if we have, on the spiritual level, we think we go Jamaat Khana, we're staying pure, which may be true, we're keeping our souls pure, but to rise in the ranks of knowledge and to be strengthened with Spirit, we have to seek out those true sources of knowledge, which would be, like our Imam has recently said, to study the works of the Dais. And of course, we all understand and appreciate the Pirs, Ginans, and the Furmans, but also all this Hakikati knowledge which was given to us, and now is coming out slowly by slowly. We're getting more and more material. So when we're reading these books, the true books, we shouldn't just think of it as a mental sort of activity, but something which is involving our soul, our spirit, and our intellect to rise on these ranks to get to the level of from ilm yaqeen to ainul yaqeen to rahaqul yaqeen. So I thought these interesting verses, 58 to 22, if anybody wants to research later on in the Quran, they can see it's a beautiful verse. That's all.
Subhanallah, Subhanallah. Anyone else? This is a great way of interacting and learning together.
Yeah, earlier when you were talking about, this is Ali, when you were talking about the Quranic verse, which started with, this is the book in which there is no doubt, I believe.
Yeah, that is the book. Yeah.
That is the book in Dalika, yeah. It connected with me at least with a quote from Hazrat Shams Tabrizi, in which he has said the meaning of the book of God is not the text, it is the man who guides. He is the book of God. He is its verses. He is its scripture. And this quote is from Shafiq Virani's book, The Ismailis in the Middle Ages.
Yes.
At least that's how I connected with it, and I know even that can be taken in different levels.
Right. So the key word here was Zalikal Kitaba. Because Haza, if the word was used Haza, there would be this book which is written or scripture. Because the word is Zalikal Kitab, that book, other than this book.
That book, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, very good connection and very good understanding. Thank you, Ali, for sharing. Anyone else?
A question, one more if nobody else is asking.
G.
A thought came to mind when people were, or when it was brought up that the changing of firmans or Hazir Imam today is saying, whereas in the past Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah was saying work no words, which was on the volunteer badge, and now it's, work many words. At another level, perhaps that could be referring to all of the bowl that Hazir Imam has been granting all over the world, and more murids entering into Baitul Gal, meaning of words, many words.
Yes, we can think like that on the second or third level high, but initially what Imam is saying, okay, so let me explain this. I'm going to take 2 minutes, not too long, just 2 minutes, please. In the time of Shariat, the Shariat is do as you are told to do. And that was the early time of Sultan Muhammad Shah. Do as you are told to do. Meaning, how we as the children, our parents says, just do it as you were told. And then later on they teach us why that is the right thing to do. And that is the level of tariqat, in which they tell us. So Imam is saying that now just don't do the khidmat as you were told. Do the khidmat because you understand that that is the right thing to do. So use the communication, use the words, so you may understand the khidmat. And the last one example is the khidmat of the shoes company. Simple example, right? We never even give a second look or thought to the khidmat of the shoes company. But if we have the words and if we have the communication, what will we communicate to those volunteers who are standing inside the shoes company? We will be telling them that how this shoes company is teaching us that in our tariqah, and if we want it to be Sufi, which is the tariqat, then we need to be as humble as someone picking up other person dirty, smelly shoes. Because without being humble in your khidmat, you cannot go further in our tariqah. So that is the communication. So don't just put them in the shoes company or in any of the khidmat they are doing. Doesn't matter wo kahan par khada hua hai jamaat khane mein. Teach them, tell them, communicate with them why it is so important of their duty. That's the communication on the first level of this farman. Thank you. I understand you wanted to talk about the next level up. G.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Aziz sir, I have another question.
G.
On that same topic. So work many words, but so work is basically implied at the level of volunteerism or just about faith, because hasn't Imam said in one of his farmans that when you do banki, you don't talk about it, you don't brag about it, you don't tell people that you're doing it, you just do it for yourself. How are those two concepts different?
Subhanallah. G. See, I'm going to give you what we had talked about few classes back. Ginan. Our peers Ginan. What are those Ginan? Ginans are peace, spiritual enlightenment, and spiritual journey. So peers are talking about their spiritual journey. But today we hear Malapa saying, when you receive something, don't talk about it. How do we take those two concepts together? So what Imam is saying, from the beginning level, or I'm going to say it in Urdu first and I'll repeat that in English. जब हम गरीब होते हैं ना, तो खैरात नहीं करनी होती है. When you have no money or no saving, you cannot use that as a charity. Meaning when you are at the beginning level of your spiritual journey, do not talk about it. Remember, it is really hard to understand Imam's Farman unless you are looking from the different level of understanding. So when Imam is giving a Farman to general Jamaat, he uses some key words for the few within the Jamaat. And I will give you example from the current Golden Jubilee Farman. Mafi, Diamond Jubilee Farman. Imam says, do not talk about it, and we all remember that. Then Imam gives a key word for the few. And what is that key word? Imam says, they will not understand unless they have experienced that as well. Because when you are telling somebody about your spiritual progress and journey, they will not understand unless they have seen and gone through the same journey and experience that you have gone with. Ab yahan par, if you are sharing your spiritual experience as Peer has done through the Ginans, who will understand the Ginan? That my thing is. That is the question and answer. Who will understand the Ginan? Because peers are giving us their spiritual experiences and journey and sharing with us. The one who has gone through the spiritual journey and the progress and experiences will understand the Ginan. No one else.
And if I may share exactly this reference, actually, Imam Sultan Hamad Shah, may our souls be sacrificed to this Imam. Maula has made this farman in Wadwa camp, October 1903. And this is in Gujarati, so I'll read it and then I'll say it in English too. Amara farman che, tej ginan che. Amara farman che, tej ginan che. સદરદીને કુરાનનો આખો નિચોડ પોતાના જ્ઞાનમાં બયાન કર્યો છે. Mola is saying that our farmans are actually same as Ginan. Whatever is in Ginan is actually from Farman. And Pir Sadaruddin had studied the whole Quran and the essence, he explained it in Ginan. So this Farman is such a key Farman that he is saying that Ginan, Farman and Quran, they all are one. It is our lack of knowledge that we do not see it as one. And this Farman is from 1903. Right now, from different references, we are trying to share that if you study Quran, you study Ginan, you study Farman. They are actually all one thing. But when we have not studied it enough, then it leads us to not being able to see it as at one level. And we find conflict. That Ginan says this, but Farman is saying that. But Quran doesn't even talk about it. In reality, Imam is saying, here are his words, and this is exact Maula's words, that whatever my Farmans are, actually they are Ginan. So if you read Ginan, you read Farman. It's same thing. And then Ginan are all from Quran. So tell me, in this Farman, how are we seeing all these three things as different?
Subhanallah, Subhanallah. Yeah, this was very, very good key point. Because if you don't understand, then really it doesn't matter if you are reading Quran or Farman or Ginan, because we just don't understand. So more words. So I wanted to add one more thing to this Farman. When Imam says more words, a person who shares his or her spiritual journey with others without having a knowledge will do injustice to the reward of the spiritual journey, because he will not know how to share. Person with the knowledge and person with the spiritual journey and rewards will be able to tell you things about his and her spiritual journey without saying anything. In such a beautiful word, he will tell you and you will not even know that he or she is talking about their spiritual journey. That's how Peer told us about the spiritual progress and journey and their experiences in their spiritual life. That's how Quran tells us. And that's how Imam gives us a Faramin. Ji.
So there is one more Farman by Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah. May our souls be sacrificed to this Imam. Mullah says, and this is Kalam-e Imam Mubin, Hissa Awal, Jambar 7, 13, 18, 99. तुम में से ऐसे ईमानदार आदमियों की जरूरत है जो कुरान शरीफ के इल्म से वाकिफ हो, गिनानों के इल्म से वाकिफ हो, तो हम इन्हें गिनान की एक एक कड़ी कुरान से निकाल कर बताएं ताकि वो जमात को सुनाए.
Subhanallah. You know, if you remember the ayat, Surah 57, ayat number 3, and if you remember the Ginan, where Peer says that you are Awal, you are Akhir, you are Zahir, you are Batin. That is the Ginan, and the ayat is exactly same. The Huwal Awal, Huwal Akhir, Huwal Zahir, Huwal Batin. This is the Ginan and this is the Farman that she just mentioned in Sultan Muhammad Shah's Farman. Subhanallah, Subhanallah. Anyone else? I believe someone else had sent a message that they wanted to add something. Go ahead.
Ali Madad, sir.
Ji, Ali Madad.
I have a question, but it's out of context of this topic. So may I, please?
If it is out of context, Salman, would you please share with us, because then we'll have to cover it in the next class. It is good that you came online and you're asking, but share with us through text, if you don't mind, please. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Salman.
So if there is no question regarding what we had talked about today, we will request all the friends. First of all, thank you everyone for joining us on this beautiful Sunday morning. When you do come online on this conference line or on this group, download your app and put in your name. So when you ask question, we will know who you are, and then if you request something to be shared with you, we will know when and where to share with you. Thank you everybody. Please do write down your question. Think about it. We have another week. And then send us the question ahead of time. So we will tackle and answer the question that you wanted to talk about, not what we wanted to talk about. Because it is about us and you as a combined. It's not about what I wanted to teach or what you wanted to learn. But we wanted to make sure we are only talking about what everybody wanted to learn. Thank you. Yali Madad.
Yali Madad.
Thank you, Yali Madad.
Yali Madad.
Yali Madad.